Alana, Jaylo,
Yes.
how are you doing on this Friday morning?
I'm doing great. It's supposed to be a really hot one, though. Well, or at least close to being really hot.
They're saying that this weekend is going to be very, very difficult if you hate the heat.
Thank goodness for AC, though.
I love that, babe.
Yes, it's great.
I was talking to a friend of mine earlier this week.
Uh-huh.
And it was great to reconnect with this person
Mm-hmm.
because we haven't spoken in around 10 years.
Okay.
But it came up that you play flute.
Oh, really?
And I do. You didn't know that you played flute.
No. I didn't know that came up in your conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I know a little bit of guitar.
Yep.
He was wondering if you and I can maybe record a song at some point. His suggestion was that we do it on a podcast, but I was thinking that might get a little bit tricky with copyright issues. I thought about that after we got off the phone.
I do a lot of covers, too.
Right, so maybe in like 1 or 2 weeks, outside of this, we could do a cover of The Fool on the Hill and send it to my friend.
Yeah. There's other songs I'm thinking about, too. I thought about yesterday, but I don't know if you're good with the chords yet.
That's a complicated song.
That is complicated, isn't it? Or we could do. I got to think about that. There's a lot of Beatles songs that are that could be pretty easy to follow.
I love doing The Fool on the Hill, but it's very hard for me to find like the opening notes to that song. What about
you have to listen to it. You have to listen to it repetitively.
No, I do, but I mean when I'm singing it,
yes,
it's hard for me to get the notes just right at the beginning of it. But what about Closing Time by Semisonic?
Oh yeah, that might be a good one too.
That'd be a fun thing to do with a flute.
Do 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 do.
It's a great song, babe.
It is a good song.
Anyways, the conversation with him also helped inspire me to make you a Spotify superstar.
A Spotify superstar?
Spotify superstar Jaylo is what they call you in the streets these days.
Who's they?
I do.
Okay, so you're just one person.
Right.
You're not a they.
We were talking about it, and he said, so you would call what you do a podcast? And I said, yes. But then I got to analyzing that statement once I got off the phone. And I realized that I've always called it that, but we've never had it on iTunes or Spotify.
Yeah.
So I started a Anchor account, which is a distributor to different Spotify networks. I mean, a distributor to different podcast networks.
Okay.
So now we're getting out there, babe. How does it feel to be a Spotify superstar?
I don't know, because there's some things that I'm really private about, and there's some things that we shared that are between us that I'm not sure that everybody needs to know, but I mean, it's not like I'm going to, it's not like I'm going to, I don't know. There's just some things like, I don't know that, there are people in my life that need to know everything about, everything it has to deal with this, I guess.
Hold on, I'm going to cough.
That was a sneeze.
That was a sneeze. What's the difference?
Bless you. A cough is different than a sneeze.
In what way?
Well, one is a and one is a you. Yeah.
I thought the sneeze was the weaker of the two.
No, the cough is.
Interesting. So all these years I've had it in reverse.
I don't know. I mean, they're both pretty strong, but I mean, sometimes depending on how hard you sneeze in there. I mean, just this morning I sneezed really hard.
I remember that.
Yeah. Sometimes sneezes amuse me.
Why do you think that is?
Because some people have like the funniest sounding sneezes, but then some sounds amuse me too, so I don't know. It's kind of a weird quirk of mine.
I know you're really into farts.
What? Okay, I am not. Who gave me that idea?
You did.
I did not give you that idea.
When we're not doing this, you bring up farting a lot. You do.
That doesn't mean that I am. That doesn't mean that I'm into farting. It's just a natural. It's just a natural bodily function
that you talk about fairly often.
I don't talk about it a lot. You're the one who brings it up every time.
No, you brought it up this morning.
What? I did?
Yeah. We were hanging out in here, And no, I'm not making this up.
I was just kidding.
Okay.
By the way, there's a difference.
But you do bring up farting quite a bit.
I don't bring it up all the time, no.
At least once a day.
No, I don't. It may be in your mind it's once a day, but I don't bring it up once a day. At all.
Okay. I'm the same, babes.
I don't know. Maybe you're the one who's thinking about farting.
Well, I do think about it a lot, but it's because you talk about it so much.
I don't talk about it that much.
So when my mind starts to wander,
every time,
it's always
okay, I'll give you an example. Every time I bring up a family member that I won't even name, you always bring that up. Or something it has to do with...
You're talking about the one who used to put the... Okay, I'm not going to say. But
well,
that was
somehow the hind end gets into that conversation every time I bring this person up.
That was not the part of my French, the back door into the conversation about farting that you used this morning.
No, I know, but as an example, it's an example. Every time I bring up this person, you always seem to mention it, even though I didn't think you were going to mention it since I told you about it.
We should say that there is a story behind that apparently I'm not allowed to tell.
No. See, that's what I mean. I'm private about certain things. You see.
Okay.
I don't think everybody and their mother needs to know about everything about me.
You love farts.
Whatevs.
But I still love you. I'm not really that into farts though.
Well, I'm not either. It's just it's just a natural bodily function. But you seem to think that I am, so I don't know what the deal is.
Don't tickle me. My presents for our anniversary, the one that I was giving to you, came a couple of days late.
That's okay.
But
I got it today.
I brought it over this morning.
Yeah.
Do you want to discuss it a little bit?
It's a battery base for my Echo Dot, which is really cool.
And it's also a speaker too.
Yes.
So it makes the dot sound louder.
And it is a really good sound, actually.
Do you like it? You like it so far, it sounds?
Yes.
Very nice.
So let me ask you a question, because I just started to see what it, check it out since you brought it over this morning. When you said I can actually take it into the kitchen, does that mean that it doesn't have to be plugged into the wall anymore?
As long as it's charged, it doesn't have to be plugged into the wall. And I believe it'll last for 6 hours before you have to plug it in again.
No, wait. So the dot has to fit in there, right?
But we already hooked it up.
Okay.
To the battery base.
No, I know, but when you said I can take it to the kitchen,
yes.
Does that mean I have to unplug the power cable, and how does that work?
I would recommend leaving the power cord in the socket where it's at right now. And if you have to, in your bedroom.
Yeah.
And if you want to, just take the battery base that has the dot in it.
Oh, I see. Okay. So literally unhooking the power cord from the dot.
Yes.
And leaving the dot in. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay.
And you should have up to 6 hours, according to the Amazon reviews.
Nice.
Yeah, babes.
I am really, really loving Amazon Music Unlimited. Unfortunately, there are some albums that the dot can't play because they can't find it. Because I've tried to look. I actually did find the White Album on for the Beatles. The Beatles White Album.
That's my favorite Beatles album.
Yeah.
I think that Revolver and Rubber Soul are very close in my mind. But the White Album just barely beats them out.
Is that the one that has Penny Lane and Strawberry Fields, or is that a different one?
I want to say they're on the Magical Mystery Tour.
I heard that's also a good album, too.
Yeah, it's technically like a double EP.
Nice. Yeah.
So, this is my problem with streaming services.
Mm-hmm.
Not just Amazon Music, but all of them.
Mm-hmm.
There's always these albums that you can't find.
I know.
Or where you'll find,
at least I've been noticing it here.
There'll be like 7 of the 10 songs, and then the 3 that you really want to are missing from the album. And that's why I still think that physical media is important.
Mm-hmm.
Having some sort of musical backup.
Oh, yeah.
So I think
I totally understand that.
Streaming music services as a great alternative, but they shouldn't be your default way of listening to music.
Oh, I agree. I totally agree with that. I still have a bunch of CDs, actually.
I don't have CDs, but I have a hard drive that has a lot of music on it.
That is a good place to store them. If
As
you don't have any
opposed
albums.
to having like 3,000 CDs,
Yeah, but
which I used to have.
Yeah, and I still have my old ones. But I kind of think of them now as like collector's items in some ways.
I hear what you're saying. I think you should at least have a hard drive with music on it, though.
Oh yeah. I'm sure. I mean, I could always put more music on my hard drive as well as copy music from hard drives to other devices or whatever. Yeah.
I remember a few years ago, Kanye West released some album, and he was constantly taking songs off of it and putting new ones onto it.
Really?
Yeah, so it was really, really upsetting to people, and people made a big deal about it.
I don't understand. Okay, was it one of those things that you had to download online?
No, it was just for streaming.
Oh,
I don't
really?
think he put out a physical copy of it.
Oh,
at
wow.
least not originally.
That would be confusing. Well, here's another thing that I know you brought up streaming services, but here's another thing that I don't like about Amazon Music Unlimited, and I like it a lot. But there's one thing I don't like is where you have an artist. Sometimes they have live recordings of their stuff, but then they remake the recordings of their own songs, and I hate that. Or they have somebody do it, another recording of it.
We had an issue. I can't remember if we were at my sister's house or my place.
Yeah.
But we were listening to Earth, Wind, and Fire.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. I just
sorry.
wanted to describe what that noise was.
I'm so sorry.
That's right. And
Oh, I remember that, yes.
you interrupt me a lot.
I'm sorry.
While we were listening to them, we heard the song September
Yes.
by
Justin Timberlake, and it was a
And
Trolls
some white
version.
lady.
It was actually Anna Kendrick.
she's a white lady, right?
She's from Trolls. Yes, they were both from Trolls, and that was a Trolls
She had
version.
a horrible voice.
It didn't sound that great in that song, but I heard her voice before, and it's not. And her voice is actually better than that.
I'm just, well, whatever. But I want to listen to Earth, Wind, and Fire. I don't want to hear the
I know.
Backstreet Boys doing.
I know. I was very disappointed that they would even have that in the playlist. And then I think I was listening. What was that? I was listening to. I think it might have been Martina McBride, and somebody was singing on the playlist, and it wasn't her. It's so weird. It's like sometimes they pull out random stuff, whether they're related to the artist or whether it's a remake, somebody remade it or they remade it, and I don't like that. So, I don't know.
What happens if Justin Timberlake does an album of covers where he focuses on the career of Curtis Mayfield? Then,
Yeah.
like, half of my
It
favorite
actually-
music is ruined. You interrupt me a lot, babe.
I'm sorry.
Go
I
ahead.
just had a, and I thought, sorry.
Go ahead. I realize, because I've been uploading our old shows,
Yeah.
what I've been noticing is I speak really fast
Yes, you do.
and repeat myself a lot, and you interrupt me all the time.
I don't interrupt you all the time.
Go ahead.
See, now I forgot my thought.
It had something to do with covers.
Well, yeah, that would be upsetting if Justin Timberlake made. I mean, if he's gonna make covers of Curtis Mayfield, it better be good. I mean, because Curtis Mayfield has some really cool stuff, and I don't think anyone could really take his place for what he did.
Oh, Curtis Mayfield is amazing.
He's very good. Yes. Yes.
This gets into an interesting discussion about cultural appropriation.
Oh, we're gonna go there.
We are going to go there. So, have I told you my take on it?
When it comes to food and music,
When it comes to just cultural appropriation in general.
like, give me an example. I mean, the only example I can think of right now is food.
Have I told you my opinion of it?
No, not the full opinion, no.
My opinion is that cultural appropriation is a real thing, but the caveat is that it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
We need cultural appropriation because it helps us all grow as people. Having said that,
Yes.
The one area where I feel a little bit weird getting behind it is white guys doing covers of black artists, like Justin Timberlake.
Yeah, that was really the only example I found that was really bad. I mean, I don't know of any other white guys that have done. Well, let's see. Actually, no. Mark Bouchard. Isn't Mark Bouchard a white guy?
Oh, fuck, that's a good point because he does do good covers.
He does a great
Love
cover
and
of.
happiness.
He does a great cover of Al Green's "Love and Happiness," and was it Wilson Pickett?
It was.
Yeah.
What he'll do full albums where it's other people's stuff. But what Bashar does,
Yeah.
and I heard this from him when I saw him live, when he does a cover album, he'll donate all the money to homeless shelters.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
At least that's what I remember him saying when I saw him at the Blues Fest in 2018.
Right. So this is not for his own gain.
No, but you could make the argument, even though he's not making a profit off of those albums,
Yeah.
it still helps to get his name out there. So in some way, he is making money from it.
Well, and then,
But it's not a direct thing.
you know, and there are some. So I don't know if I've ever delved with you into the subject of remakes, because there are some remakes that are better than the originals, which is very rare.
It does happen, though.
It does happen, but there are remakes. There are most of the time the original song is better than the remake, but I think I hear what you're saying. Mark Bouchard, of course, has done a very good job of doing Al Green's "Love and Happiness" justice, because he really did sound like Al Green. He just wasn't Al Green.
I wouldn't say that he sounded like him. What I would say is...
Well, he sounded. You know what I mean. I mean, I don't know how to explain it.
This is why I talk fast, is because I get interrupted.
I'm sorry.
I would say that he puts his own spin on it,
Yeah.
and it sounds really soulful the way he does it.
Sorry. I'm
That's
just
okay.
getting ideas in my head. I usually don't do that.
You do that a lot.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
I do not.
I've been listening a lot this week, and I do talk fast and repeat myself, like I'm doing right now, and you do interrupt me quite a bit.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I do not. Maybe there's some instances where I have and I didn't realize it, but I don't do that all the
Babe,
time.
you've literally done that at least 3 times so far today.
Today,
Okay.
not other days. Today.
Anyways, back to what you were saying about covers.
I thought I was done with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I was done with it.
Very good, babe.
I've said all I need to say about covers.
Do we want to talk about...
Oh well, what?
my thoughts on Sarah Palin and the Joe Biden campaign?
Not really.
You don't want to go there?
No.
Why not?
it's a weird subject.
It's been upsetting me all week.
Why that Sarah Palin wasn't chosen, or that Sarah Palin didn't? I just don't.
Okay, so you're the only one I told this theory, so now it's going to require some explanation.
Yes, it will. I thought. Okay, go on.
A couple days ago, Joe Biden picked Kamala Harris as his running mate.
Mm-hmm.
I told Alana maybe 3 weeks back that I thought that there was a really, really good chance he was going to pick Sarah Palin as his VP.
To which I responded, no, she wouldn't take it.
I don't know if she was approached. And you were the only one I told that to, because I knew that all my friends would think I was insane for saying that.
And I thought you were insane for saying it.
Let me give out the justification. Even though I'm wrong, this is why I thought that, right?
Yeah.
Biden wants to appeal to Trump voters. Sarah Palin has that whole Republican Christian thing going for her, right?
Yeah, she was a part of the Tea Party movement, yes.
Exactly. So she's part of the, anti-Obama camp,
Right.
which is oddly enough the camp that Obama tried to appeal to the most. But I figured that would be one reason he would reach out to her. And I thought that there was a good chance that she would want to run as his VP because she would have a lot of power in his administration. And CNN and MSNBC would flip and start calling her a genius overnight.
Yeah, right. I don't believe that would happen.
Oh, if he picked her as his nominee, that would absolutely happen.
Wow.
I am relieved that I was wrong about this.
Well, I never thought she would take it, and also, they're totally different people.
Well, you also got to remember another reason Joe Biden might pick her is the Democrats are really good at losing elections.
Yes, they are.
And this year, he would have to do something pretty extreme.
Now, so
I still think that he's going to blow it and that Trump's going to be reelected.
absolutely. Now, here's something to think about because I don't know if I discussed it with you, but I know some people have this idea that he really didn't pick her. It was the Democratic Party that picked her because he wasn't.
We're talking about Kamala Harris.
Yes, that the Democrat Party picked her, not him, because he was obviously.
He has some mental issues.
He's suffering from dementia, obviously, and he would not have picked her because he is not of a sound mind.
I don't know if it's early or if he's deep into it, but there's definitely something going on with him. And I find it very because I am a lefty, but I find it puzzling when my other lefty friends try to say that no, he's in good mental shape and you're just not seeing the same things I'm seeing.
You know what? I would agree with you on that because I don't understand why anybody would think that he is in good mental shape. He's so both I don't know if you knew this. Both him and Trump took the cognitive test, right? Did you hear about that?
I heard the Chris Wallace interview with Trump. And Chris Wallace basically said that the test was bullshit.
Oh, really?
This was on Fox News.
But well, I wasn't going to talk about Chris Wallace, but I will say that I think it had to do. Well, what I was trying to get at was about the what was that thing about telling the difference between an elephant and a lion? I think who said that? Well, it was something to the effect of that. But I think both of them took the cognitive test. There was a controversy with Joe Biden taking the cognitive test, and I'm not quite sure when he did it. But did you remember hearing about that CBS story where the guy asked him, the reporter was asking him if he was going to take a cognitive test, and he got all riled up and defensive and said, accused the reporter of smoking cocaine or something, or snorting cocaine because he asked him that question?
I don't think I heard that story. Having just said that, I don't deny it. Because I could totally see Biden doing something.
He said he certainly did that. And I'm thinking to myself, so regardless of whether the cognitive test is BS or what have you, I would think that if he really wanted to show people that he was fit for the presidency, he would automatically take it.
There are serious questions about his mental stability. But that's not exactly where I wanted to go with this.
Well, that's where I was trying to go, but you're trying to steer me off course there.
All right, keep going. Give your Republican talking points.
That's fighting words. Fighting words.
No. Do you want to hear my take on this?
Yeah.
I am relieved that Sarah Palin.
Relieved, he says. Relieved. Which.
You just interrupted me again.
Yes. I did.
I don't interrupt you, okay?
Not all the time. Today, for some reason, I am. Sorry about that. Go on. You're relieved.
I'm going to repeat myself. I am relieved that Sarah Palin will not be Joe Biden's running mate. And, I know I was probably the only one who thought that was a real possibility. Maybe that says that I'm too into conspiracy theories.
Uh-huh.
But it is what it is.
I would agree with you.
Ugh.
Oh.
So I burped.
Are you okay?
Let's
Are you all right?
Sidetrack for a second. I just burped.
Oh.
Right before we did this, I drank a lot of water and I ate some Reese's peanut butter cups.
Yeah. Are you all right?
I'm fine. I just am a little bit embarrassed. Let's get back to this though. I know it's not a fog, but at least
Hey. I am not into that.
Back to Biden.
Back to Biden.
I find his pick of Kamala Harris very troubling. Because she is against legalization of marijuana. She was...
Really?
Yep.
Really?
There's a famous clip from like 2014 where she's running for office against some Republican who is in favor of it, and she's laughing.
That doesn't mean she's against it.
What does it mean then?
That probably means that, I don't know, maybe she didn't like the Republican that was running against her. I don't know. But
so she would laugh at the idea of him.
But wasn't it her that admitted that she used to smoke a joint when she was younger?
She has admitted that, but she hasn't said that she thinks it should be legal.
That doesn't mean that she doesn't think it should be legal. She never came out and said that she didn't think it should be legal. And anyway, it doesn't really matter to me because I'm not for the legalization of it.
I think that all drugs should be legal.
I think you're crazy.
For recreational use.
I think you're insane for saying that. That's just my opinion. But I think it's an insane idea. It's just like defunding the police.
Well, That's
insane.
We're gonna get to that, babe.
That is insane.
You gotta let me speak at some point.
I do let you speak. This is what we do. We banter.
No, that's true.
We banter, and bantering isn't always so prim and proper.
We're going to get to the defunding of the police in a second. But irregardless of how you feel, it looks like she is of the same mindset as you on marijuana legalization, which
wow.
disagree with.
I do. And I'm surprised that you would think that she was in the same mindset of that as she would be, as I am with that.
I should say it's possible that she's switched her opinion since then, but I've heard that she was for keeping weed illegal.
Well, keep in mind
that Joe Biden was for the drug wars.
No, I wasn't talking about Joe Biden. I was talking about her. Keep in mind that she was the same person who accused Joe Biden of being a racist, and then now you've got her accepting Joe Biden picking her as a VP pick when she literally called him a racist, even though she said I wasn't calling you a racist, and then she talked about the whole busing thing, and now she's flipped on it. So it's kind of, she's flipped on a lot of things. That
was the only good point she made when she was running for president.
Yes, that is.
This really great meme that was on the Joe Rogan Facebook page this week, and it said, something to the effect of, looks like somebody wants to be VP really bad. And it's this picture of Kamala Harris looking at Joe Biden during the debates. And then right below it, it's this other photo of her ducking to pick something up, but it looks like she's,
really
giving him a blowjob.
Oh, that's really
disgusting.
And
it really made me laugh.
Oh, I'm sure it did.
Yes.
You like looking at that stuff.
Oh, my goodness. Anyway.
No,
there's more issues with her, babe.
Yes, there is. There's a lot more issues, but go on. I'm interested to hear this.
Okay. She is for arresting parents whose kids skip school.
I am not for that at all. I know I've heard about that. I think it's really weird. It's terrible. But, yes, I am not for that. Go on.
During the housing crisis of 2008, when your buddy Steve Mnuchin...
Why do you keep calling him my buddy? Sorry. I don't know him.
He's part of the Trump administration.
Well, he's not my buddy. I just know about him. He's not like my friend. Go on.
Okay, I believe at the time he was working for Goldman Sachs and was kicking people out of their homes. Like old ladies out of their homes for missing mortgage payments. And people thought that he should be prosecuted. Kamala Harris was in charge of the final decision. She decided not to go after him.
I never heard about Steve Mnuchin.
You should research this, babe.
Although, I have heard that she, I think she wasn't prosecuting, I think she was for illegal aliens having the right to vote. And I also think that she, as Attorney General of California, there was some controversy about her letting criminals go free or something. That she wasn't prosecuting criminals or something like that. I can't remember what it was.
Well, Steve Mnuchin, for sure she wasn't prosecuting. He was,
No, I'm not talking about Steve Mnuchin. I'm talking about the citizens of California that were not law-abiding citizens. Forget Steve Mnuchin for a minute, because we're not talking about Steve Mnuchin. We're talking about Kamala Harris, or as I would like to call her, Camel Hump.
That sounds like a Rush Limbaugh thing that you.
No, it's not a Rush Limbaugh. It's my own nickname.
Okay.
Camel Hump is. She's just a hump. But anyway,
Kamala Harris, I think it's called civil forfeiture, and she's for it. So basically, what that is, if I'm caught with like drugs on me, the cops are allowed to seize my property and sell it off, and she's for that.
she's also for mandatory. She wants a mandatory buyback of guns, and I'm talking about the people that have a legal conceal and carry license.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, she is. She's for having a mandatory buyback. I am, and obviously I'm not for the arresting of parents of truant kids.
My mom would be in jail.
Yeah, she would.
Because I used to skip all the time in high school.
I'm surprised that you were able to get away with that. I wouldn't be able to get away with it.
Well,
my parents would be on me, and the people would call my mom.
Oh.
Yeah.
They'd be on you like a ACB or Unsighted Guide.
Wasn't it? Or would that be the NFB Unsighted Guide? Or I guess the new PC term would be Human Guide.
I hate that term. So
thank you.
We're gonna get to a few things, but
I think we're going off course here.
I want to talk about Kamala Harris for another minute.
Okay.
I think that she is a horrible pick for VP. I have friends on the left because I'm a lefty.
There's still hope for you while you're still breathing, though.
What does that mean?
We'll get to that later, but off the podcast.
Okay, so I'm super lefty, and naturally, my friends have similar views. The other day, after this was announced, I talked to a really, really good friend of mine on the phone. Somebody whose opinion I respect in most things. Mm. And for the most part, we see eye to eye on politics. Mm-hmm. I told him that I am not going to vote in the presidential election this year. I hate Trump, and I can't vote for Biden, especially after seeing his VP pick. Mm-hmm. And he starts to talk to me. It's very civil, so I don't want to put him in a negative light. But he said something to the effect of, well, you know, Trump called her like super left and a radical lefty. I didn't say this at the time because I didn't think about it until we got off the phone. But I found it puzzling that this is a person who believes almost nothing that Trump says, but will believe Trump when he calls Kamala Harris a super lefty.
That doesn't make sense either, because wouldn't they be happy about that?
Wouldn't who be happy about that?
Wouldn't your friend be happy that she was super
lefty? No, he's going to vote for her. He thinks that she's a good pick.
I don't understand that. I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised that she was picked.
Well, and the other thing is, I said, well, why don't you look into her record and do this? And he says, well, she's a good pick because she's from California.
What does that have to do with anything?
I dropped it after that because I thought to myself,
I don't understand.
Joe Biden is already leading in California. And while I still think that he's going to lose nationally, mm-hmm. the odds of him winning California are very, very high. He didn't need her for that.
Why is it high there, though? Is it because... I don't understand why it would be high anywhere, because it's... I don't understand that.
Okay. California leans very, very liberal. There are pockets where there's a lot of conservative voters.
Yes, there are conservative voters, but they're few and far between in California.
Exactly. And so he's likely to win California anyways. He doesn't need Kamala Harris for that.
Anyway, I don't get it. But
so I found this upsetting because I just burped again. And that's upsetting too.
Are you okay?
I'll be fine, but I don't like being interrupted by that.
Well, I mean, you can't really control that.
Okay. So I'm lefty, but I always thought that was just the conservatives who fell in line.
With not liking Kamala Harris.
No. my friend likes Kamala Harris. I thought it was the conservatives who fell in line when it came to listening to everything the politicians said. Right? So it's like my friend doesn't like Trump, but he'll go along with Biden no matter what Biden does because he's not Trump.
So
I saw this during Obama, but I thought that maybe we'd gotten past this by now.
Okay. So what you're saying is, if I can repeat this back, because I think I get it.
Go ahead.
Basically, you have no conservatives to listen to everything that they say, including looking at the records of people. Is that my assumption?
I have known conservatives to be followers and to go along with whatever the Republican leader has said.
Not necessarily. But despite that, your friend who's a super lefty.
Not super lefty. He voted for Hillary Clinton.
Ew. Well, she's still left anyway, but we don't have to talk about that. Anyway, so your friend is not looking into anything about the leftist politicians.
He's not looking into anything related to Kamala Harris, and he's excusing a lot of the more problematic stuff with Joe Biden.
Oh, you mean that he is that he has some cognitive failures and some other things that he's mentioned.
Like he told me, I don't believe Joe Biden suffers from dementia.
That really, I'm glad that you and I are on the same page with that, because it really doesn't make any sense to me.
But it goes further than that, babe. Mm-hmm. He also doesn't want to research, and I love this friend, so I know I'm bad mouthing him right now. Mm-hmm. He's a really, really good guy. Mm-hmm. I love this guy, so take this with that, if that makes any sense.
With a grain of salt.
Remember that I love this person. Okay. But he's also like not really acknowledging the conservative stuff that Joe Biden has done. The things like helping drum up support for the Iraq war, or being for the war on drugs, or the racist stuff he did with the busing system back in the late 70s.
Okay,
that he was still defending up until last year.
Okay, the racist stuff with the 70s thing, the conservatives are not for that, and they were never for the war.
Whoa, babe, that's not true.
No, they're not.
Got us in the war.
They're not for the war in general. They don't
That's not true. That's just patently not true.
No, it is true. They are not for the war.
We're talking about the war in Iraq, right?
Yes, but let me just finish, because
I'll let you finish, but then we're gonna have it out over this.
Basically, I don't want to get into what conservatives don't do or do, because we've talked about this over and over again, and we can talk about it until the cows come home, or whatever you call it. I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting that the same things that the liberal left will accuse conservatives of. They're doing the same thing, but otherwise, I don't understand the whole thing with Joe Biden with your friend. I get where you're coming from when you talk about him not kind of going along with what he's doing, and I just, it baffles me too. But then
I want to say something else related to this, and then we do have to go back to the war discussion.
No, I don't want to go to the war discussion. I don't even want to have the discussion.
We'll make it a quick
topic.
I'm spotlighting this friend, but other people who I know and care about have said similar things about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Like, oh, it is what it is, but we got to support him because he's not Trump. Or, Trump says that she's liberal, so she's probably liberal, but every other thing Trump is lying about. This is a one time where they think that Trump is telling the truth.
Okay. That doesn't make sense to me, I guess.
It doesn't make sense to me either. Sorry, I keep burping, babe.
I don't know.
All right. The war thing.
Oh, jeez. I really didn't want to have this discussion. I mean, I wanted to just, say something and then be done with it.
But, babe, if I'm going to call out my lefty friends for saying crazy stuff, I also got to call out my conservative girlfriend for saying something that doesn't make sense.
Okay, I understand that there have been, I don't know if I would consider George W. Bush conservative or whatever. I didn't follow the Bushes as much as you did.
He was the leader of the Republican Party. He was our president.
Yes, he was. But here's the thing, though. Now, as much as I'll just refer to myself, okay? I don't want to go to war unless we have to go to war. And I believe that there are conservatives that do not want to go to war. We do support the military, but we don't want to go to war unless we have to go to war. We do need people. We do need people to fight for our freedoms. And without those people fighting for our freedoms, we wouldn't have any freedoms in this country. And that's why I kind of go back and forth with the war thing. I'm not completely for going to war if we don't have to, but if we have to, we have to.
I find your view that George W. Bush is not a conservative.
I never said that.
You said you don't know.
I said I don't know how much of a conservative he really is.
I think that view might even be more crazier than my friends who think that we should vote against Trump no matter what.
Really?
You like Fox News.
Yeah, so?
You remember when they were all in support of George W. Bush in the early 2000s?
Keep in mind, I didn't start watching it until like the later 2000s, so I didn't even know about Fox News until the later 2000s. And this was around the time that Obama was in office.
When you started researching it.
Right. Well, when I started watching it, but I don't...
Around the same time that he was like their boogeyman, right? They were saying that Obama's starting FEMA camps and, doing all this crazy stuff and doing Muslim terrorist salutes, which turned out not to be true.
Actually, there are some things to consider, but we don't have to go to the Muslim discussion. It's a totally different thing.
All right, so let's talk about this thing.
No.
There was... All right, I'm going to tell you about what would go on in the early 2000s. There was this message being sent out by conservative media. When it comes to the war, when it comes to George W. Bush, you are either with us or against us. That was the saying that was on television a lot, including Fox News. You're either with us or against us.
Really?
Yes.
You don't think that the Democrats had any part in it?
The Democrats definitely contributed to it, but the people who led that movement were the conservatives in this country.
Really?
And I find it very puzzling and problematic that this part of history is being rewritten too.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Like I said, it's more problematic than my friends who think that Kamala Harris is going to do some super lefty stuff once she gets into office.
I just feel like the Democrats have blamed the... I just feel like the liberal Democrats have have always gone to conservative... always blamed conservative media and conservatives in general for things that they have done. Because as far as I understand it, even though I may not have been following the Bushes, the liberal Democrats have always been for war. They've always wanted us to go to war. We've been trying to get out of the war since Obama was in office, and obviously you know that we both agree that Obama did not take us out of the war, and we're trying to get out of the war now.
Okay, I have a lot of issues with Obama, but let's take this one step at a time. Why is it that conservatives were absolutely pro-war until Obama got elected? But up until that point, they were all good with the war, including getting us to go into Iraq in the first place.
Is it possible that where you heard this one may have been a false narrative instead of actual facts about this?
I mean, I heard this on Fox News.
Really?
Yes. I remember watching Bill O'Reilly in the lead up to the Iraq War, and he would have generals on every night saying this is going to take us 6 weeks, and we're going to be out of there.
Are you sure about that?
I'm 100% sure about that, babe. You know you are allowed to do research on the past.
I will.
Don't tickle me, don't tickle me, don't tickle me. So here's another question. So I would encourage you. Don't tickle me. I'm going to tickle back. I think... Can I say something?
Can we go to a different subject after
We
this?
will, but we got to wrap up our political
Okay,
conversation.
okay.
You need to do research on... will you let me talk? Mm-hmm. Will you let me talk?
Okay.
You really need to do your research on history and about the Bush's involvement in getting us into the Iraq War. They were the ones who led it. And it was mostly because of Dick Cheney. 9/11 was an excuse to get us in there. But they jumped on that excuse. I would also say, and this will be the last thing about the war, and then I want to get to defunding the police, and then we'll move off with politics.
Okay.
Okay. If conservatives are against the war, Trump controls the Senate. He controls the Supreme Court, and he's our president. Why are we still in Iraq? Maybe that's something you need to think about.
All right.
Okay.
That's fair enough.
Thank you. I think it's very disturbing that leftists are saying defund the police.
I would agree.
Having said that, I do think that there needs to be a lot of reform in the police departments.
Oh, I think so too. I
Yeah.
mean, I think so too. I think there needs to be background checks. Or somehow, okay, so background checks, we may need background checks, but we also need, they have to have their body cams on.
And we're going to get to the body cam thing, but that's interesting that you bring that up. I agree with you on that. Mm-hmm. I think many things need to be done, and a lot of it is above my pay grade. But we do need incredible amounts of police reform in this country.
Sorry, I lost my thought, but go on.
Okay.
I was going to say something and I forgot now.
I also think it's a little bit weird that a lot of people I know who are saying defund the police are glad that Kamala Harris got chosen. She's not going to defund the police. She's totally for police, right? And to me, it's like, okay, I'm not for defunding the police, but I am for police reform. She's not going to do that. Do you know that Kamala Harris is against body cams?
Against body cams?
Yes, for police officers.
That doesn't surprise me. I would think she would be. I would think she would want. She wouldn't want police officers on the street because of her history with criminals.
See, this is where the Republicans lose me.
No, I'm serious. I think. I'm surprised that you think she wouldn't defund the police because of her history as Attorney General and how she didn't clean up California.
No, but babe, she didn't clean up the California because big money was pushing her to go conservative. It's not like it was because she's some lefty who just let everybody do what they wanted to do.
And she's flipped on. I mean, I don't know. I just don't know why anybody would want to support her because she's flipped on a lot of things. I mean, she's done that. Since she was trying to run for president for the Democratic or in the Democratic convention when they had the when she was running.
We still haven't had the convention.
No, I mean in her what do you call it? When she was trying to run for president earlier or whatever it was. I don't know. I just think I think she's problematic altogether.
See, this is where I feel like I am disconnected with people because you think that she's too lefty. Mm-hmm. My other friends think that she's too lefty. My lefty friends think that she's going to create some massive change in this country. You think that she's too lefty. And I think that she's too right-wing. And I think that Joe Biden is too conservative.
She's not even close to being right-wing. I think it's interesting that you have a sense of what real right-wingism is, and I think I have a better sense of that. I don't think
No, you don't.
I do.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
I've been analyzing politics a lot longer than you have.
You may have, but I really don't think you have the essence of what conservatism is.
Really?
Yes.
I
don't think so. You think Hillary Clinton is conservative?
Absolutely.
She's not even close to it.
Absolutely. She's
The
pro-war.
conservatives don't like her, and the conservatives have never been pro-war. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, that is rich, babe.
That is rich. That is rich that you still think that. It is such a it's such a false narrative.
I love you, babe.
Ah,
You're a little bit quay.
you're a little bit quay.
I still think you're awesome, just as long as we don't talk about politics.
Hey, you're the one who brings up politics, not me.
It's something that's been on my mind this week with, the news.
I didn't even want to talk about politics, and we're talking about it already. I didn't want to get worked up this morning, but apparently...
Well, give me a kiss. I love my conservative Jaylo.
Oh, what is that supposed to mean?
Just that, you follow certain things and
Jeez.
they're wrong, but I still love you, okay?
Well, this is civil discourse.
Yes.
We get into these civil discourse discussions, but we never end up having the good thing is that we never end up having a blowout fight. It's just very frustrating, and I would rather not have it, but,
I should say, I usually don't have blow-up fights with my friends either. When we disagree about whether or not you should vote for somebody just because they're not Donald Trump.
Or just because they're a woman.
What do you mean?
Do they ever have conversations about, well, I want to vote for this person because she's whatever she or he is a guy, a black guy, a woman, they're Jewish or whatever. Have you ever had discussions with them about
identity politics, basically?
Right. Yes.
Not when it comes to gender.
Okay.
And one friend, when it came to race, he said that I was being racist for being anti-Obama.
What?
Yeah, and it wasn't like you where you're like, so birth certificates. It was like with me when I was saying, well, look at the number of drone strikes that have happened since Obama took office.
No, I would totally agree with his. I would totally agree that his policies were not good, and but that's another story.
But here's where you lose me. Obama had some very bad policies, but if you know the history of them, a lot of them come back to talking points from the Republican Party. Like Obamacare was basically a rehashing of this thing that the Heritage Foundation came out with in, I believe, the late 90s. And if you know anything about them, they were a right-wing think tank.
See, this is what really gets me about the left too. Is that every time there's something wrong with policies, they always go back to, oh, it's the right's fault. It's the right's thinking. It's the right's foundations. They're all horrible people. I don't know. This is where I lose it when it comes to the left. This is completely why I get so frustrated with these debates sometimes.
But this is why you need to study history more, babe. So it's like I get upset when I debate friends on whether or not Obama was a good president, and they say stuff like, well, he just was, and you just need to accept that. But I also find it problematic when people on the right say he had horrible policies, and they don't acknowledge that a lot of what he did were basically rehashing of Republican talking points or things that or actions that conservatives did in the past.
Is it possible that the media outlets that you have gotten this from, and maybe the publications that you have gotten this from, may have been fudging things to make you think that was right?
Anything's possible, and that's why I try to get I try to do research from a wide variety of sources, which I would encourage you to do. Okay.
Oh, but I have, Bubs. I mean, maybe we don't agree with what I was looking at, but I have. I don't know. I think journalists have been doing quite a bit of fudging for the last decade or more.
Journalists have always had their slant on the news, but it's become more pronounced over the last 20 years.
But isn't it a journalist?
And a lot of that is actually Bill Clinton's fault.
But Oh, okay. Well, isn't it? Would you agree with me that isn't it and then we can get off of this.
Yes.
But don't you think that it is a journalist's job, to report the news as accurate from both angles, and then the person who is listening to it or reading the news op-eds or whatever, then they can decide which direction they want to go in, instead of the other way around, where they take a story, they take partial things about the story, and then they run with it, and then they make it into a new story, and then come to find out it's not real.
I think we've had this discussion before, so I'm going to repeat myself. Yes, it is, but they're not doing that.
No, they're not.
And one of the reasons they're not doing that, babe, is because of the establishment, right? So if I'm covering Trump...
Excuse me.
Oh, excuse you, babe. If I'm covering Trump and I want to get an interview with him one day, I'm less likely to do critical stories about him. Or if I am, I pad it in a certain way to where he's not really at fault. And the same way with Biden. Or if I work for a corporation and I know that we get sponsorships from Lockheed Martin, and they're a company that leans left, or that leans right, then I'm going to be more favorable to the right wing. And if we get sponsorships from a company that leans left, like let's say, what's a good example of a left-leaning company? Let's say Trader Joe's.
Trader Joe's?
I'm assuming that their management leans left. I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, I apologize. But if I know that I work for a company and they get money from Trader Joe's, I'm going to lean left.
I don't know if that's always the case, though.
I think there are exceptions to the rule, but the rule stands.
But I just see now that there are media outlets that will never, ever report anything good about the presidency. They won't report anything good, except for what they want to report on. If they ever report on another story that isn't leaning towards their direction, it's always partial stuff.
Well, I don't pay attention to those news outlets. I don't watch MSNBC. I don't watch CNN.
Yeah, they're not good.
I haven't watched cable news since probably 2005. Maybe I've caught a story here or there, but I'm talking about like really paying attention to what.
But what about? Okay, I'm sorry. But what about? And I really want to get off of this, but like for example, Democracy Now! We've talked about this many times, but would you say that? I don't know if you call it a fault or what it is, but have you noticed that every story they have reported on is very depressing? That there's nothing good, there's nothing positive. It's just doom and gloom all over.
I agree with you on that, but I don't think it's that Amy Goodman. She's not trying to slant the news. That's just how she views the news.
It's so depressing, though.
And she's not one-sided, so she's definitely a lefty. But when Obama was in office, she did stories against him. She's criticized Biden since she's gotten the nominee for president.
Well, here's a story that was wrong when she reported it, because remember that time when Trump went to England, and there was some protesters outside of, I think it was Buckingham Palace. She reported, or somebody reported, that the English really hated the president, when actually there were a lot of supporters that were supporting him and his administration. That was completely wrong.
Wait a second. You said she reported or somebody reported.
She reported it, and then there was somebody that was commenting on what she said. And that turned out to be wrong. There was actually a lot of support for the president and the administration. No, she was wrong about that. And I honestly think that she's completely biased from what I saw.
No, she's not completely biased.
I think she is.
She's been very critical of Democrats.
I mean, granted, I only watched 3 of the most depressing hours of my life. I will never do that again. I will say, I mean, granted, I haven't watched enough of it, and I don't know.
You had to watch Schindler's List afterwards to have a more upbeat day.
It was very depressing, but that's how I feel about it. Otherwise, I think we should move on, because I'm really I don't want to talk about it anymore.
I don't think you're right about that report.
Oh, whoops.
And that's why you knocked the record out of my hands, okay?
That was an accident. Sorry about that.
I think that you have no polls to back up what you're saying on whether or not Trump is popular in Europe. If I were to guess, just based on people I've talked from Europe, he's not that popular over there.
Yeah, but that's according to their opinion.
Right, but that's according to your opinion that he is popular.
But no, I'm not saying he's popular in all of Europe. Not everybody likes the president. I'm just saying that there were a lot of supporters in England, not the whole continent of Europe. I don't know. I mean, maybe the French don't like him. I don't know.
But what does a lot of supporters mean? Does that mean 10 people stood outside his
no, there were
hotel?
No, from what I understand, the people at Buckingham Palace were very welcoming to him in administration, and there were other people that were happy that he was able to come and visit England. And the small supporters the protesters that were actually protesting his visit were it wasn't a very big percentage.
What I'm hearing from you
and that was falsely reported by Amy Goodman.
I'm hearing that the people in power at Buckingham Palace and other dignitaries, people of power, were happy to see the leader of the free world.
It wasn't just them. There were
What are you doing, babes?
No, it's just lip gloss, sorry.
Okay.
But anyway, I'm done talking about that. I don't want to talk anymore about. Stop laughing.
Alana.
No.
This brings us to an interesting topic about doing another news exchange.
Oh,
We've
man.
discussed it before.
Yeah.
What do you think? You go liberal for a week, I go conservative.
I really have to think about that because I really didn't like my experience the last time.
You don't have to do democracy now.
So I suggested that we do like historical exchange. Whether it's whether it's about a political party or whether it's about a figure in history. Meaning that we look at a figure in history or a party in history, a Republican, Democrat, and see, what we came away with for, I don't know if I want to do it for a week. I'm not sure. I have to think. I haven't really thought it all through, but I have ideas.
Okay, do you want to maybe articulate that a little bit more? Go deeper with it?
Like, let's see. For example, maybe not just a figure in history, but like a time in history, like
Vietnam War.
Maybe the Vietnam War, maybe World War II, maybe World War I, or it could be I don't know, like it could be any historical thing that we're both interested in. It could be any historical figure that we're interested in. But I haven't figured out what that would be yet. And we would each take the opposite side and try to see what we can find on that side of the coin, and talk about what we came away with, or if we would do it again. I don't know. It's just it's ideas I've been having.
You might need to workshop that idea a little bit to get it down.
Yeah, I know. I haven't. It's not set in stone. It's just I'm just thinking about it.
I would be open to doing another news exchange though. Maybe you listen to Jimmy Dore for a week, or the Young Turks, or Secular Talk.
Who's Jimmy Dore?
He's this really cool guy. He's a comedian. He used to do a lot of work with the Young Turks, but now he has his own radio show called The Jimmy Dore Show. I want to say it's on Pacifica, but I could be wrong. And Pacifica is, of course, like the working man's NPR. They're best known for Democracy Now!, but he's funny.
Okay. Really?
Yes.
Okay. Is this a nationally syndicated show?
I don't know if it's nationally syndicated, but you could download the podcast.
Okay. Yeah, I have to think about that. Yeah. I don't know.
Hey, boys.
Yes.
We can move off of politics now.
Thank goodness.
Now that you got on your high horse there, baby boys.
My high horse. You were on your high horse too, Bubs, and now we finally got off of our high horses or whatever.
I was a little bit pontificating about Biden.
You were a little bit pontificating. I wanted to get off of it, and you're like, no, I didn't talk about it.
Well, I kept getting interrupted, babe. If I were to just send my piece and talk for 5 minutes.
Well, you can get on a tangent sometimes.
Yeah, I am.
You don't just talk for 5 minutes. Sometimes it ends up being for 20 minutes. Or maybe 50, or maybe 30 minutes.
I could have asked you to leave the room and just talked about
excuse myself to the bathroom.
Yeah. And then called you back in when I was ready to talk about something else.
That would be kind of boring, though, would it?
Not for me.
Not
Maybe
for
for
you.
everybody else, though.
It's like, why would you talk for 30 minutes?
No, I would have done it in like 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yes.
Really?
Yes, be it, boys. And I'm sure it'll come up again as we get closer to the election. And again, I do think that Trump is going to win, but we could talk about that another time, babe.
Yes, I think that would be better. Talk about it another time.
Tell me a little bit about your week, because I know that you've been playing with Miss A lot when I'm not around.
I call it the Echo Dot.
Go ahead.
Yes, I've been playing around with the Echo Dot. I found this really, really cool feature that I didn't know that you didn't... I did not know that you didn't know about it. But you can ask the Echo Dot or your Echo to wake you up with whatever music you want, whatever the alarm time is. Like the other day, I set an alarm for 7 a.m. and the music that came on was the Classics 4. Today, I woke up early though. Today I set an alarm for 6 a.m. and it was to the music of B.J. Thomas. So I didn't know if you knew that.
I did know it. I've just never used that feature.
Okay.
Because I have Prime, I get access to some songs, but not the complete library of 40 million that you have. I think it's like 2 million I can pick from.
Wow, that's not that much.
No.
Well, see, here's my thing though. I don't buy stuff from Amazon very often.
I do.
Yes, and I don't really mind that it takes a while because I just don't feel like I need to pay extra for Prime just because I don't use it much. I just like the music. I love music, and I'm starting to get into some podcasts, and I just don't really care for getting extra for Prime. I guess I don't know.
I could see that if you don't use it a lot, the shipping service, and you're not a fan of their shows.
And I already have subscriptions to 2 streaming websites, so I don't really need it.
I didn't know that. Oh, Netflix and Hulu.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, I don't need Prime. I mean, I have other stuff I can watch. It doesn't bother me that I don't have it. So, but that's just my preference. And I'm just really loving Amazon Music Unlimited. I just don't like that they don't have certain albums that I'm trying to find. So I can't listen to every single album of an artist. And I would have to know the album name. So, and there are times I don't know what albums I would have to look up their discography online or something if I wanted to find that out.
What, if any, podcasts have you been listening to over the past 5 days?
So I've been getting into this podcast called Revive Our Hearts, and yes, it is a Christian podcast for women.
God.
What?
Go ahead.
I don't understand. You just seem so standoffish every time I talk about it.
No, go ahead, Dave. I'm not a religious person. And
It's
the
not
last time I
it isn't too late,
checked, I'm not a woman.
But anyway,
I went to pee before we started doing this, and the water is cold. And your toilet's pretty shallow, too.
Oh, okay.
That's a joke, but it didn't come off right.
No, it
So
didn't.
the original joke that I sold that from is 2 guys get out of a car to pee on the side of the road, and they go to the bridge, and they both pee, and one guy says to the other, "The water's cold," and the other guy says, "Yeah, and it's shallow too."
Oh.
It It's a dumb joke, but I kind
Is that supposed to be for women or men?
The joke?
Yeah.
I think it's like a dad joke.
And it's shallow too. That sounds like a dad joke.
Yes. Keep going though.
Anyway.
Revive our farts. No, keep going.
It's geared more towards women, but I'm sure that men might get something out of it if you're a Christian man. Let's see. That's the one I've been listening to the most. Was there another one I was listening to? It's been I can't think of anything at the moment, but I know that one is what I've been, and I've also been watching, like, I've also been listening to the Oprah Winfrey Show stuff. Some of the shows that have been, so I used to watch the Oprah Winfrey Show when it used to be on the air, but man, I didn't realize how many new age stuff she's got on her shows.
She's been doing that since back in the day.
Oh, I'm sure she has, but it got even more so like in the late 90s and like early 2000s into, and up until 2011. I mean, there's some things that I would agree with on her, but there are obviously things that I wouldn't agree with when it comes to her, very out there, new agey type of...
She does have some wild opinions, but
Yeah.
in fairness to Oprah, she's lived a very bizarre life.
Mm-hmm.
She was born this very poor girl,
Mm-hmm.
black, in an area of the country that's extremely racist, in a time that the segregation was still going on.
Oh, yeah, I understand that, yeah.
And she went from that to being super respected, ultra wealthy, just having all this power. So I don't agree with a lot of her New Age views. Having said that, I could kind of understand why she might have some of them.
I don't know that I agree with you on why, the problems she had would attribute to her new age ideas, but...
Because she went from that to being so ultra successful that there's almost nobody else in the same lane that she's in.
I guess. I don't know. Yeah. It's interesting, but it is altogether very entertaining. I mean, there was a guy on there the other day that wrote Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. I never read the book. I don't know that I would read the book I'm kind of a little bit skeptical when it comes to so-called experts that write books on men and women, because I don't know. I think all men and all women are different, and they don't operate the same way. So it's not like a one size fits all rule of thumb that you have to communicate with a spouse or a girlfriend or boyfriend, or you know what I mean? I don't know. I'm a little skeptical about that.
Yes.
So it was entertaining to listen to, but I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, not every woman is going to go for that, and not every man's going to go for that. So I kind of like sort of just see it as entertainment for what it is, and just say, well, okay, if somebody wants to read that, I guess it's their thing, but it's not my thing.
Very nice.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay.
You got a Walmart order earlier.
I did.
How do you feel about that?
I got everything. I feel like I got everything that I asked for, and I'm glad that I checked the spices, because I thought, oh no, she didn't give me the spices. But I got all the spices, and we're going to make some pretty spicy things.
Mostly tomorrow. Tonight, we're doing this pasta bake.
Well, I'm excited for that. Yes.
I am too.
I am so excited for that. We're going to put some veggies in there and some cheese.
Some Italian sauce. We're going to make a dressing
sauce.
with Italian sauce and cream cheese.
And cream cheese and maybe some sour cream.
Maybe. We'll see, babes.
I still have a lot of that.
Oh, quite nice.
I think it's still good.
Yes.
I'm going to use it as much as we can. Yes. I think I'm slowly getting back into cooking on the stove, and I'm really excited about that. And I've done a little bit of cooking. I mean, granted, it was eggs, but...
Hold on a second.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I'm
I
telling
hate
you.
eggs.
You haven't had good eggs.
They don't make them.
What do you mean? Who's they?
Everybody.
Everybody?
I can't stand the taste of eggs. I told you that when I was a little kid, and even to this day, the smell of eggs upsets me.
I wonder if it's just like a psychological thing that's holding you back from it. I don't know that it...
I might actually have like a physical thing to it. I don't, because the smell just like makes me want to vomit. Not as much now, but when I was a kid, I would just smell and just be so grossed out.
I really think it might just be a psychological thing because I know for a fact that my family makes really good eggs. I've grown up with good cooks in my family, so I know that you haven't always grown up with good cooks in your family, and that's unfortunate. But no, my family really knows how to they know their way around the kitchen. And my dad used to make us breakfast in the morning, and his eggs were just really good. It's possible to make good eggs. And I think that because you limited yourself to those eggs that you were horrible. I mean, I understand they were horrible, but I really think that you haven't tasted good eggs. Well, I mean, here's an example. I generally don't like lamb.
Lamb is really good.
And I generally don't like venison. But
venison is pretty good too.
There are only a couple of ways that I will have both meats, and there is a way that I've had lamb, and it happened to be barbecued, but it was made in such a way that it wasn't gamey at all, and it mixed with the beef very well because I had both lamb and beef skewers, and the lamb skewers were actually really tender. I've tried venison, which was cooked with veggies and some seasonings and rice, and the venison was actually not very gamey because you have to because I guess when you're cooking them, you're preparing it, you have to remove the scent glands. I don't know if you knew that.
I did know that.
You did?
Yes.
Okay. You have to remove the scent glands because that's where all the gaminess comes from. And I know this because I have friends who hunt and they kill their animals. They kill and then they prepare them for keeping them for meat, and so that's a little bit of knowledge I knew about that. But yeah, I mean, there's really only one way that I'll eat those things, and there may be a time where somebody may give you food that you particularly don't like, but they made it in such a way that may even change your mind about it.
We'll see.
Something to think about. What?
I don't eat eggs.
Okay.
But have you thought more about my idea, when I'm not here, of course, about doing a scrambled egg orange juice float?
That is disgusting. Why would I do that?
You like eggs?
No, I wouldn't put eggs
You
in my...
love orange juice?
I wouldn't put eggs in my orange juice. That's really gross.
It is to me.
Why would I do that? Nobody in their right mind would make something like that.
Okay.
Unless you want to make yourself sick. And I'm sure that anybody that you know who listens to this podcast would agree with me.
Maybe they would, Jaylo.
They might.
Yes.
They might agree with that, Jaylo.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
There's a first time for everything.
Oh
okay?
goodness.
Have you been having any strange dreams recently?
I have not. No. I'm sure eventually I will, but I haven't been dreaming a lot. I mean, I've been getting tired earlier, but I think it's because I haven't slept in a few days, or my sleep was interrupted for the last few days, maybe 2 or 3 days. And so I've been getting tired earlier, and I've been waking up earlier, which is really good for you, actually, I think.
I love getting up earlier.
I do too, but I don't like getting up too early, like 3, 4 in the morning.
4 to me is right.
I that's too early for me.
I love getting up at 4 in the morning, and then you have like the morning to yourself. You can kind of jam out to some music with some headphones on, of course. I think it's great.
I like waking up between the hours of 6 and 7. That's a perfect time for me. I don't like waking up between the hours of 3 and 5. But I have been going to bed with plugging in my headphones and listening to some music, and it really does help with that. But it's weird to listen to something and dream that it's in your dream.
Yes.
And I've had that happen more than once.
Have you been sticking with the ambient sounds we've talked about?
No, I haven't.
Oh.
I have not.
I'm thinking tonight, babe, instead of doing ambient sounds, we should do like a police scanner.
Oh my goodness, no. You know how many weird dreams you could have with listening to police scanners?
No, I'm just playing with
Can you imagine listening to 911 calls and going to sleep to that?
That would be strange.
Do you remember a show in the 90s called, I think it was the 80s, actually, the late 80s, called Rescue 911 with
Of course,
William
that was huge.
Shatner?
That was huge. That was the early 90s.
It was late 80s, early 90s, but isn't that weird? I mean, I always wondered if those stories were real.
I wonder how much money he has.
Mm.
I know he didn't make a lot off of Star Trek,
Yeah.
but I imagine he got paid pretty well for the movies and the conventions. Plus, he was on other TV shows. I bet he's pretty rich.
And on Rescue 911, which was really huge.
Yes.
Yeah. I used to watch it on Monday nights.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I want to watch it, though. It some of it kind of scared me.
Yes.
Yeah. I think there was one story where this lady was going to have a baby, and her son had to help her deliver his mom deliver his sister.
Wow.
But I don't know if it was true. I think it was true, but I'm not too sure about that.
They made up stories on that show?
No. I mean, I always wondered if the people that they were interviewing were actually real people that it happened to, and then they just did some reenactments.
I think that was the case. I don't really pay attention to Rescue 911 anymore.
Well, it's not on anymore, but I don't think it's on. But I do remember when we used to watch America's Most Wanted, and then you watched it also.
Mm-hmm.
What really scared me were the I may be repeating myself when I say this, but I was talking to the people watching this.
Go ahead.
Or listening. I always got scared of the reenactments for America's Most Wanted. That always scared me.
Yes.
And it said, and then John Walsh would say, if you see blah 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 blah, call 1-800-CRIME, whatever year it was.
Yes.
Yeah. It would scare me.
He's a good example of somebody who took pain and used it to help others.
Yes, he was. And he still is.
Mm-hmm.
I think he has a new show, but I cannot remember what show it is. I saw an advertisement for it, and it sounded like a really good show.
Mm.
And he was just so hard-pressed to, especially bringing child killers to justice because of what happened with his son.
I loved his story arc on Friends.
There is no story about him on Friends. He was
I
never
thought he
on it.
dated Monica for like 3 episodes.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's coming from someone who has not. Sorry, my hands are a little sticky. That's coming from someone who hasn't even watched like every episode of Friends, and I have.
I'm not going to do that.
I think you should.
Oh, what else?
I think you should. You're not giving it the. You're not being Phil.
Oh, what else?
Who knows? I may watch The New Girl.
That's a great show. In my opinion.
In your opinion.
But first we got to finish DS9 and The Boys.
Oh, the boy.
And I'm super excited about the news that we've talked about before about the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Oh,
Possibly
right.
getting a dramatic reboot by the guy who made that really cool trailer about a year ago where it was like a dramatic interpretation of the show.
Yeah,
Supposedly Will Smith is going to produce it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it will be good. I mean, I don't know. I'm so used to the Fresh Prince being so funny.
I am too, but when I saw his trailer, it made complete sense to me. Like, this would totally work as a drama. And in some ways, it might even be better.
Really?
Which is saying a lot, because that's a great show.
And who is the guy that put the trailer together?
I forgot his name. He's some up-and-comer, but I'm excited that news came out this week.
Yeah, because, I mean, none of the cast members obviously are the original cast members are not going to be on it,
No.
and I don't know. I always thought Hillary was a really funny character on the side, and Carlton, Ashley, all them.
I'm sure the new one will have comedic moments.
Yeah,
And typically, I am not a reboot fan.
right.
But in this case, I think he could really have something.
If Will Smith is producing it, then I guess it's worth trying out, because Will Smith knows what should be in the series, and he played the main character,
Right.
so
But weren't you excited when you saw the trailer that he made?
I thought it was kind of interesting.
I thought it was great.
It could have been it could have been really, really good.
The fact that they're actually getting this done is really cool.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was some good news for this week.
Are they going to still call it the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
I don't know. I think they might call it Bel Air.
Bel
Because
Air.
that's what they called it in the trailer.
Right,
that they
okay.
made.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bel-Air.
Well, okay.
Bel-Air.
Yes. Is there Oh, I listened to a podcast this week
Oh, really?
called Jaylo.
Called Jaylo?
Yes. So
What are you serious?
I am. I went on Stitcher last night to search for Green Jaylo and Hammond. And it's not on there yet. But they had this other show called Jaylo. This couple made it in their house back in 2018, but I think they only did one episode. They just got married. They were in their 20s. The husband was getting his medical degree, and I believe the wife, I could have this wrong, I think she was a bioengineer. I wish they would have done more episodes.
Did you say that? Why did they call it J-Lo?
I don't know.
What? How was it spelled?
It's spelled like your name.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, why? I don't understand.
They might have said why, but I was kind of zoning out and just like, oh, this is odd.
That's weird.
Yes, one episode.
Huh, and it's called J-Lo.
Yep, it's on Stitcher.
That is odd. Huh. So what I'm understanding is you don't have to be famous to make your podcast known.
No.
Okay. Yeah, because I've heard some podcasts that are coming out too that I haven't heard about these people, and they've advertised it.
There's so many good ones out there that I'm excited to explore once you start looking at that hard drive I gave you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else you wanted to say? J-Lo.
J-Lo, the real one?
Yes.
I think it's weird that there is a podcast that has my last name in it.
One episode.
Or
It
that's
wasn't-
one episode
It's
of
not
it?
like a huge hit or anything.
And you don't know what their last name is, the couples.
They may have said it, but I forgot it.
That's very interesting.
I think the wife's name was like LaJane. I could have that wrong.
LaJane? Okay. What about the husband?
I don't remember.
Okay. LaJane, huh?
Yes.
And you're serious about this podcast?
Yes, I am.
Wow.
I could play it for you after we're done with this if you want.
I'm not sure about that. It's just odd to me. It's really odd to me. Yeah, I'm just really having a good time with all the music I've been able to listen to, and more. Yes. And I think that's all. I don't have anything else to say.
All right. Vote third party. Sorry. All right. Alana, J-Lo.
Yes.
Until next time.
Until next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.